There was a time before names, before nations, before even memory, when everything in the universe was whole. And then something shifted. Not a mistake, not a punishment, but a movement, like the inhale that follows the exhale. Wholeness split, not in anger, but in curiosity. And from that split, two parts were born. Two lights cast across the cosmos, each carrying a whisper of the other, each bearing the feeling that something, just beyond reach, was missing. This was the beginning of the longing, not for a place, not for a goal, but for something unseen, unspoken, somewhere deep in the heart. It stirred like music remembered from a dream. There is another part of me, and I must find it. So the story began. Born into bodies, souls wandered the earth. They looked through eyes, touched through hands, spoke through mouths, searching for that forgotten echo that would remind them, I am whole again. They called this search love. They called the other part a soulmate, a mirror, a twin, the one. Through centuries, people carved this story into poems, painted it into sunsets, sang it to the moon. They believed that before birth, each soul had been divided and cast into the world to find its other half. And so they searched, through faces, through voices, through bodies in motion and stillness, in kisses, in tears, in the quiet after someone leaves. Sometimes they found someone who made the ache fade for a moment. The heart would beat faster, the skin would flush with warmth, and they'd whisper, this must be it. But time passed, and the feeling passed, and they were left wondering, why do I still feel incomplete? What they did not know, or had simply forgotten, was that the longing they carried was not for another person. It was for a part of themselves they had buried long ago. Because in truth, the myth of the soulmate is much older than romance. It began not with love songs, but with life itself. Even before the soul dreamed, the cells remembered. Eukaryotic cells, the ancestors of all life, learned to evolve by reaching for another, by exchanging pieces of themselves to survive, to adapt, to live on. Love, at its root, was biology's way of saying, we grow when we unite. So plants reached toward the wind, animals called to one another, and humans felt a magnetic pull, a deep need to find the one who could awaken something sleeping inside. But as humans evolved, so did love. No longer just for survival, it became something sacred. We stopped seeking hips for childbearing, backs for strength, and began to seek the fire behind the eyes, the essence, the soul. We learned to fall in love not just with the body, but with the being. Not just with the shape of someone's face, but with the way they dream, the way they cry, the way they carry silence like a prayer. And slowly, we began to believe that perhaps our other half was not just someone to mate with, but someone to remember ourselves through. But this belief too brought pain. For what if the one never came? What if they were lost in another lifetime? What if we passed them on the street and never noticed? We romanticized suffering. We made longing the price of love. And we chained our happiness to the idea that only one person could unlock it. We built cages from poems and fairy tales. But one day, perhaps after many lifetimes, a soul pauses. They sit down, tired of searching. They look into the mirror, not at the shape of their face, but into the eyes staring back. And suddenly, they see it. The one they've been looking for has always been here, not in another body, but behind their own eyes. Not across the world, but inside the heart they have ignored for so long. They remember, every person I loved showed me a part of myself. Every heartbreak was a mirror cracking, not to hurt me, but to let the light out. And then the real union begins. Not of two bodies, not even of two souls, but of the mind and the emotion, the sun and the moon within. The mind, bright and conscious, and the emotion, deep and hidden, see each other for the first time. And they fall in love, not in lust, not in fantasy, but in silence, in stillness, in truth. The sun and moon eclipse, and in that sacred moment, a ring of light forms within, wholeness. From that moment on, the soul no longer seeks a savior, no longer waits for the one, because they have become the one. And in this state of fullness, they can love again, not to be filled, but to overflow. They can meet others with open hands, not empty ones. They can say, I love you, not because you complete me, but because I see myself in you. And that is the highest love of all. Not two halves becoming one, but two wholes, meeting, sharing, remembering together what they never truly lost.